Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Sometimes selling a car is a real roller coaster. Our OP has several stories of crazy buyers. I recently went through selling my 90s Ford Tempo, little old but awesome car and built like a tank. I didn't expect to get so much interest in my car, but boy did I. And some real winners too. One guy who wanted it for pizza deliveries. Yes, it has a couple of problems, and I was willing to drop the price, but the water pump's about to die, the belt's gonna snap, the head gasket's blown. I need a reliable car for pizza deliveries. Any problem I don't have time to fix? What's your lowest price? After I told him, he showed me the bill of sale for a very nice car he was driving that he said he got for less than $700 with absolutely no problems. Well, lucky you. The owner must have been stupid. Just to be sure, I photographed the engine bay and sent it to my friend who's a mechanic, and he said, no, car did not have a blown head gasket and the belt looked fine, but would be easy enough to replace. Another lady messaged me off Facebook Marketplace saying she wanted it as a first car for her daughter, and would I possibly be willing to wait 10 days for her next payday? I warned her, as I had for every possible buyer, that the car had things that needed fixing and was being sold as is. Nothing huge, but a safety issue and not necessarily suitable for a learner driver. Oh no problem. Just to be sure, I asked if she was planning on teaching her daughter to drive standard. No. Why? Because as the ad said, the car is a standard transmission, not an automatic. Oh, so you actually have to switch gears? She asked. Well, yes, you generally do. I just love people who ask me to hold stuff for them and don't read the ad. The last guy I showed the car to really made me angry. Couldn't put my finger on it, but I didn't trust him. I demanded to go with him to test drive it. He sped, mounted the curb, and drove the wrong way down a one-way street even after I told him to stop. Said he wanted to use my car for drift racing. I assume he meant illegal street racing. Then, after we got back, offered me $100 less than what someone else had already offered me, and after I pointed that out to him, said I should just give him the car for less because it'd take him so much time to fix it up, and he was saving me money and helping me out by getting rid of it for me. All things the other guy offering me more money and not wanting to thrash my car to hell was also doing. Guy that took my car was a sweet teenage boy who was suspicious as hell and went over it with a fine-tooth comb. But I would have too in his shoes. Wanted to fix the car up, and I hope it works out for him. And our second story. No, you can't have a discount just because you want one. I haven't had much to post for the last couple of months, but a woman and her family just came in, and I have to share it. The cast for this will be me, Karen, husband, Karen's husband. I'm up at cash trying to figure out something, and husband walks up to me with a pair of shoes. Husband, excuse me, do you give a discount if this is the last one on the shelf? Me, no, sorry. He walks away, and I hear Karen start complaining to him that they, being me and my store, should be giving a discount. She then turns to me. Karen, hey, you guys really should be giving discounts if it's the last one. Me, I'm sorry, but we don't. It's not something we've ever done. Karen, but it's something that you're supposed to do in marketing. Me, I'm sorry, I've been here almost 3 years and I've never seen anyone do that. Karen, you do understand that it's something done in marketing though, right? Are you the manager? Me, no, but I can get her. Karen, yeah, do that, because it's something done in marketing. So you guys... I cut her off from rambling on again so I could walk away to get my manager. Me, yes, okay, I understand, I'm grabbing my manager. I find my manager in the back corner of the store talking to the assistant manager and explain to them what just happened. My manager immediately tells me that's not something we do or have ever done. She would know, she's been here for 30 plus years. The assistant manager goes to deal with Karen and her family since the manager was up on a ladder and the assistant manager has the most patience for Karens. He walks up to Karen and her family, listens to their whole speech about how they should get a discount, says no, then walks back to what he was working on. Karen and her family stomp around the store for around 15 more minutes trying to find different shoes and complaining about how we should give them a discount. And our last story. Crazy Karen and house paint. This happened where I lived in college. It was a very liberal/progressive city, which was one of the reasons I chose to live there. so this incident really stuck with me. This one neighborhood on the outskirts of the city was a bunch of old, but still in good shape, tract homes, with the majority of them being homeowner-occupied and had a primarily Hispanic/Latin population. Well, as home prices skyrocketed, this neighborhood became one of the few affordable places to buy a home in the whole county. My friend and her brother had bought their house while the prices were still decent, and I was renting a room there. It was the kind of place where on Fridays we would walk down to the neighborhood park where a bunch of taco trucks set up and eat and hang out with the neighbors. Everyone was very welcoming, and we got invited to all kinds of cookouts, quinceañeras, and the first funeral I'd ever been to that was a huge party with dancing and laughter that truly celebrated the person's life. Still one of my favorite neighborhoods ever. One day we're out front talking to the neighbor across the street who's super nice and friendly. Suddenly, this older woman quickly waddles up to us and just starts talking. She doesn't even introduce herself. But I think we all know she's Karen. Karen is talking to the neighbor in that very exaggerated way that means she doesn't think he speaks English, so she must speak loudly with big gestures. She tells him, not asks him, but tells him that it's time for him to paint the house. At this point, she's doing over-exaggerated Karate Kid paint the fence gestures and saying, paint, paint the house. We're all stunned into silence with WTF looks on our faces as she keeps going. That light blue is no good, shakes her finger in his face. No good. It's too bright. Shields her eyes from the house like she was looking into the sun. Too bright, do you understand? Now, there's no HOA or city ordinance limiting the colors of the houses in this neighborhood, but none of the houses had any unusual or unique colors. These were tract homes with only about 5 different colors when they were built, and most of them were still the original color or something similar. The neighbor's house was still the original color, so this light blue is not unique at all. It's literally one of the most basic colors and is on a lot of homes that were built during that time. Also, the paint on his house was in good condition, not peeling or anything. So my roommate, the neighbor, and I all find our voices at about the same time, with my roommate saying, "What the F are you talking about?" I'm like, "Who the F are you?" And the neighbor going off in a tirade of very loud and fast Spanish, but Karen is undaunted in her quest. Realizing my roommate and I speak English, she starts telling us how she just moved in and she's trying to protect her home's value, and it's obviously time for him to paint the house, and she wants the neighborhood to have a certain color palette with more neutral tones instead of this carnival thing that was going on now. Yes, she pronounced it like the celebration in Rio, but over-exaggerated, and it was clear she'd never been to Carnival or even seen pictures of Carnival, because again, the houses were mostly the same boring colors from when they were built or similar. My roommate and I keep interrupting her and telling her that nobody cares what she wants. The paint looks fine. She has no right to tell him what color he can paint his house, and this neighborhood's culture was established long before she showed up, so if she doesn't like it, she can move because she shouldn't have moved here in the first place with that attitude. Suddenly, the neighbor waves his hands in front of our faces while saying, "No, no, no, no," and then pointing to himself, and that's when we realize the neighbor is acting like he doesn't speak English. Since roommate and I know he speaks perfect English at this point, we're just trying to contain our laughter, waiting to see what he's going to do. Well, he starts talking to Karen in Spanish, the same slow, loud way she was talking to him in English, complete with big gestures and everything. Now, I don't know Spanish very well, but from what I can understand, he's telling her the colors of the houses in the neighborhood and how her house is blue, darker shade, and his house is blue, so what's her problem? Karen clearly doesn't understand and is getting more and more upset, but when she looks at us for help, we tell her that we don't understand what he's saying either. Karen is fuming, and we're trying and failing to contain our laughter. This goes on for just a couple of minutes before the neighbor's 10-year-old son comes out on their porch and loudly asks him if they're going to Grandma's for dinner in perfect English. The neighbor then turns back to his son and says they're leaving as soon as Mom gets back from the store, also in perfect English. He then turns back to Karen and starts speaking to her in Spanish again, although I don't know exactly what he said to her. There was definitely some swearing and at least one not nice name to call a woman. He then says to us, "See you Friday for dinner," in English, and walks away. It takes Karen a few seconds to realize what's going on, Then her face turns bright red and she's just sputtering, unable to put together a complete sentence. We just walked away, still laughing. Now, here's the malicious compliance part, I think. A couple of weeks later, I'm out of town for a couple of days and get back very late at night. As I'm getting my bags out of the car, I realize that it's very bright out. I know it's a full moon, but something is just not right. I start looking around, thinking one of the neighbors must have put in some walkway lighting or maybe even a floodlight over the garage. And that's when I see it. The neighbor across the street had done what Karen wanted and painted his house. A beautiful bright orange. And I mean, this thing was practically neon. Under the light of the full moon, the house actually looked like it glowed in the dark. And that was why it was especially bright out in the middle of the night. I laughed so hard I was in tears. The next day, seeing it in the daylight, the color was actually more of a peach than a neon and looked nice, but for whatever reason, it was glow-in-the-dark orange at night. Some might even call it a carnival orange. It surprised no one that Karen turned her home into a rental and moved somewhere else. I can totally see that sun-faded mid-century blue in my mind. That's about as mainstream Americana as you can get. But I totally appreciate the orange. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.